All right. Should be getting started here in just a second. Had to make sure to include the open house link in the other stream there. So let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for October 11th, 2021. Market just closed about 4 minutes ago. All right, we ran all the way till the end there because we do have open house today, and got a few more questions, as is typically the case with open house, and want to make sure we discuss them. So let's go over the Qs and SPY here. Coming into today, market bias was bearish if we get underneath Friday's low, which we did right at the open. We kind of gapped underneath, but then we got bought. So I was kind of thinking, well, I guess if we're not going to follow through on the bearish bias, we may have to go to neutral, depending on how we finish the day on the Qs and SPY. Okay, so initially bearish bias because daily triggering that sell setup. Okay, ugly sell setup as it is. We went over a couple times last week the issues with it. A lot of it caused by this green bar and this gap, so it's a little bit of a distorted sell setup, but it at least serves its purpose. So bearish at the open, market got bought initially but was not able to hold, and then closed the day very, very weak back, actually underneath the lows. So that kind of keeps things simple and keeps things the same. We go into tomorrow with a bearish bias still. Okay, so expect rallies to get sold. We may not go right away because notice the hourly was trying an uptrend and is now kind of trying to break down but into some support. So we may get some back and forth initially at the open, but based on the daily and the fact that the hourly is now underneath the 20 MA, right, going to be bearish leaning. Okay, same goes for the SPY here. All right, and then IWM also weakening. Okay, IWM still a little bit more neutral because the daily, as you can see, is a bit more back and forth and sideways. So bearish on the Qs, bearish on the SPY, IWM neutral but weakening. All right. Let's go over the plays from today. So especially this afternoon, a lot of things came in this afternoon. So I think if you were kind of aggressively shorting, CMCSA, that was one that we're looking at all day. Very bearish, looks like transitioning into a downtrend, maybe out of the weekly uptrend, but daily's gone into a downtrend. And this kind of setup, but never quite, I thought, good enough to play. So CMCSA, even though it was on the bearish favorites going into in the morning, going into lunch, and even in the afternoon, I thought entry wasn't all that easy. Now the reason this base is highlighted because it was going from the stop to the entry. When that happens, I typically want to see another entry at base or something like that. And then 5 minute was kind of sloppy as well, but the follow through was there. So right idea, never just got the entry that we wanted. Nice call from Sammy on the HYLN. This was the favorite gap overall, in fact, the HYLN. So it's a little bit like the ALLO on Friday. ALLO, except this actually I think is a better 1 minute high low. I let this one go as well, just like I did on the ALLO. Now the ALLO never gave me another chance to get in. So that one I missed out on, or I passed on and then just missed out. So there it is. So this one, I thought, well, the initial bar doesn't have as much two-way action. It's a very large red bar, and then the body really takes up most of the candle. So I thought this as a 1 minute high low is more of a better entry, a better setup. But because last week I held off on all the high lows after Monday and didn't really feel like I missed out, and also avoided some things that didn't work, I'm still going to be doing that this week. Okay. Now, what did this set up instead was a nice sell setup and then a base right in here. Okay, so I played it this way, basically as a 1 minute sell setup with a secondary entry. Now, if you had played it as a base here, then that would have been actually a really nice home run play on the HYLN. Okay, so there was that. I thought that was kind of the play of the day. and ended up being an all-day hold for me. Now, on this, it wasn't an easy pullback to live through, and with stuff that's not easy, maybe one of the advantages of being in the room and then trading with us live is that you get to also hear me walk through and work out a difficult situation. Okay, so something like this HYLN, clearing all reference points, clearing all support. I want to be in this until it basically bottoms and doesn't want to go down anymore. So there's no reference, there's no support in the way. Okay, so when we get into something like that, then I don't want to miss out if it ends up being a really, really nice play. What was it that we had? Was it PTGX or PGTX? No, PTGX was this week here. But we did have some nice ones last week, right, that were nice and cleared of support, right? And so when you get that kind of gap down, like this PNW that we played last week, closes at the bottom. I want to try to be in it until the end of the day if I can. Maybe it was the TPTX. Yeah, look at this TPTX. Look at that move, right? This is one that if you get out of this too early, right, man, that'll really, really haunt you. So that's what the case is for this HYLN, is that, well, if it gets the big move, I want to be in it. But what does that mean? That also means if I'm going to hold, then I have to deal with this pullback, right? And it's great when they don't pull back and they just fall apart and they just go and you don't have to sweat it out at all. But as you can see, this started to move back. So I took the target on most of it here because that was 2 Rs, a little over 2 Rs there, and then had to deal with this. And like I said, I'm like, I hope it pivots at the 5-minute sell setup. I'll look, maybe that'll be my opportunity to lower my stop, but I'm not lowering it yet. Okay, and it just kept on moving up. And I was looking at it, and we were going to get this hourly bar to finish here pretty soon. Okay, and that was after this big move up. So actually the runner piece went negative. No one likes that, right? When you hold on to whatever, a back half or runner piece, whatever, it goes negative. And so this bar was about to finish, and so the new stop would be at 712. And what I said is that, oh man, this is a really bad place to exit after this many bars up. If I trail to 712 and it tags me out, it's not a good exit because you don't want to be exiting a short after multiple green bars. So I said, okay, I'm going to go back to the original stop, which was 717, because I can't go more than that. I don't want to, increase the size of my stop ever if I'm already in the play. So, because then it becomes a slippery slope, right? If you're like, well, I'm not going to take my original stop, and if it just keeps going against you and keeps on going, then where are you gonna call it, right? And then, ends up being just a potential disaster. So in this case, it wouldn't have been because I was already out most of it, but I just generally don't want to do that. Okay, so what I said was, all right, I'm gonna wait until we actually pivot a little bit on the 15, and then I'll just use that as my stop. And basically, it's trailing off the hourly. So once we moved off of that, then I said, okay, now my stop is going to be 715. Give it an extra penny, that's fine. Okay, so that was one of those things that I think just it took a little bit of finesse. Okay, so you got to kind of hear me, at least when the play had kind of stopped working for the time being, what to do. And then when you get kind of a tough exit there, because by my management plan, I should have been out at 713 because that took out the previous hourly bar to buy the penny. Now, if I'd gone out there, of course, I'd be pretty disappointed. But because of the way that it moved up on the 15th, I thought, okay, let me just let it pivot a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and delay that trail. We'll stick with the original stop and then, let it play out. And so that was good. So instead of exiting 713, I just closed at the end of the day for 690. Okay, so definitely, that runner made some, didn't make as much as I wanted it to because I want to see this thing really fall apart, and maybe it'll do so tomorrow. But yeah, so I think, good, job on my part, management, I'm happy with. It's just one of those things that it comes with experience. You've had this happen, you're like, it's running up against you. You say, okay, finally, I'm just going to cover it. and then right after you cover it comes in and you say, well, was that the right thing to do? Was that wise, or was it just unlucky? And I think in this case, yeah, the wise thing to do was to kind of let it pivot. And if it wants to go up, whatever, to 5 more cents only to take me out at the original stop, that's fine. It's not a big difference really. So I think it was that kind of thing, just from experience. Made the play definitely better. Okay, so today, Monday, there wasn't really a lot of good gaps. It was mainly sectors that were gapping, Bitcoin related things, some Chinese ADR, some energy, metals, some things like that. And then gap downs, we really didn't have much, even though the market was gapping down. So I thought today was a good day to stay out of trouble, not overdo it, which is consistent with what we talked about throughout last week, right? Is that earnings season, is starting, which actually starts, I think JPM reports midway through the week. And then once the banks are done, then things start to pick up a little bit. So through the end of this week, we'll get more banks reporting, and then next week things will pick up. And then as things if they start to follow through nicely at the open, then we'll pick up the aggressiveness, just like we typically do during earnings season. Okay, so we're just right there. So no reason to kind of get too aggressive too early. All right. I didn't really talk too much about it, but we are doing open house all week this week. So Tuesday, you still have Tuesday through Friday to sign up and be in the trading room and get the trades and follow along and ask questions. And so, if you've been watching the market wrap but haven't actually got a chance to trade with us live, then this week is kind of the perfect opportunity, right? Just you get to get in for free and see what the trades and what we're looking for in real time. So hopefully, if you're interested, you get a chance to do that. Okay. All right. That's going to do it for today's market wrap. Hope you did well today. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and we'll look forward to earnings season shortly. Have a good evening.